Scottish teachers deliver for Scottish education. We are committed to the children and young people in our care and have always been prepared to go that extra mile to support their progress and success. But that professional commitment, that vocational resolve, should not be taken for granted. Austerity measures have acted to reduce the number of teachers, to cut resources and see class sizes rise. The workload pressure on teachers has risen and risen, creating an unsustainable situation where the health and well-being of teachers and lecturers is under serious strain. An independently conducted health and well-being survey of EIS members across all sectors evidenced the situation. These findings show why the EIS campaign to reduce workload, launched at our 2013 AGM, has been timely, relevant and so crucial to our members. The campaign has been building since its launch, with member meetings and conferences taking place alongside school branches and HQ advice being issued.
My name's Laura Fleming from Glasgow and I support the EIS Workload campaign because I'm tired of spending my time making loads of resources and not enough time doing other things, planning quality lessons, and that's what I should be doing. There's too much paperwork involved and I want to make sure that my kids get the best teaching experiences that are possible.
Hi there, my name is Leanne Mackay and I'm a primary school teacher. The biggest challenge that I face at the moment is the fact that I no longer enjoy my job. I used to love going to work, planning lessons and really looking for exciting resources for the children to use, but unfortunately due to excessive workload and planning, I just feel that the enjoyment for me has been absolutely stripped.
An early gain was the establishment by Scottish Government of the Tackling Bureaucracy Working Group, chaired by Dr Alistair Allen, Minister for Learning, Science and Scotland's Languages, and including representatives from all areas of Scottish education.
I was really pleased to get the chance to chair the working group on tackling bureaucracy, because I know how important to teachers is to ensure that what we do in schools in terms of measuring what we do is proportionate and that it's useful ultimately to teachers. So it's a good example of teachers, the government, unions, everyone working together to that common end, and I'm glad to have been part of it.
The group's report was published in November of that same year. It identifies the key drivers of excessive workload and contains some important recommendations which, if acted upon, might make a difference. The report has been issued with exemplars of positive action which had been taken and which helped reduce some of the unhelpful bureaucracy that had developed in the system. It remains to be seen whether greater attention is paid second time round. The EIS is certainly clear that the republished report should trigger a response from schools and councils. A major pressure over the last 2 years has been the introduction of the new qualifications in secondary. Again, Scottish teachers delivered for students, but discontent with the work pressure is evident. Ken Muir from the GTCS chaired a reflections group which assessed the experience of Year 1 of the new Nationals.
There's no doubt that Scottish teachers have had to deal with a huge amount of change in recent years, but one of the things that has never really wavered has been the strong commitment of teachers to making sure that youngsters get the best deal possible. As teachers continue to address the Closing the Gap agenda and try to improve attainment even further, now is a time, even more than ever has been the case before, that we make sure that needless bureaucracy doesn't get in the way of high quality teaching. That's why we need to make sure that the actions set out in the Tackling Bureaucracy report are reviewed and implemented fully. And this is also the case for the actions identified in the Reflections report that I wrote on the first year of the implementation of the new national qualifications.
The teacher contract, introduced as part of the 2001 agreement for the 21st century, specified that a teacher's duties should be capable of being overtaken in 35 hours. That still should apply today. Back then, the evidence submitted by the EIS to the Macron inquiry indicated the average working week for teachers was 42 hours. The new contract was designed to curb that, and yet The most recent Workload survey, which included over 3,000 teachers recording workload over a 2-week period through the EIS Workload app, revealed that the average working week for teachers is now 46.5 hours. An increase of 4.5 hours since 14 years ago, meaning that on average teachers are working over 10 hours extra per week, 33% above their contracted terms.
Scotland's teachers deliver for Scottish education, for the young people in our classrooms, for their families who support them in their education. But that professional commitment and that vocational resolve is too often taken for granted by others in the education system. And as the evidence we have gathered over the last 2 years of this campaign indicate, there is currently a workload tsunami that is drowning out the best endeavours of teachers in relation to teaching and learning in our schools. Frankly, sympathetic voices will no longer cut it. We need action to reduce the workload. Scottish teachers and lecturers need a real-time reduction in their workload burden. And to do that, schools have to identify what actually makes a difference to teaching and learning and focus on those particular areas. Local authorities have to reduce the accountability measures that drag upon schools' capacity and make sure that IT systems actually reduce workload rather than adding to the burden as so many currently do. The SQA has to certainly look at the assessment burden for both students and for teachers. And government, both national and local, have to provide the resources that are necessary to actually reduce workload in our schools. Teachers, above all else, have to find their professional voice and be able to say no to excessive demands. We should remember that a teacher's working conditions are a young person's learning conditions. And teachers who are worn down, overworked, stressed out, do not create a good learning and teaching environment. So for parents, for teachers themselves, and for the young people in our schools, we want to see workload addressed in order that teaching and learning becomes the key focus of our schools. And from an EIS point of view, we have to give teachers the strength collectively to say no. Frankly, if everything is a priority, then nothing is. Some things will have to be put to one side in order to focus on what really matters. The key to all of this is that teachers' professional control of their working environment has to be asserted. We have to act now, and we have to act together. It is well past time for a reduction in workload and for time to be created for teaching and learning, which is what our schools should be focused on. Please support the Workload campaign. Get involved, say no to excessive workload, and yes to making time for teaching.